Yes, so with heads, I associate a number +1. With tails, I associate a number -1. So I have, these are my two outcomes of a chance experiment. Okay? So basically it works like this. This is my set X, right? Which is the outcome of a chance experiment. Okay? Then there is a rule which says that H corresponds to +1, T corresponds to -1. Yeah? So I have really defined a function which associates with the outcome of a chance experiment a unique real number. Right? That's my first step in understanding what a random variable is. Okay. Now, this by itself doesn't really define a random variable. Okay. Because we have to understand the physics. What it says is, we must understand, because we think of outcomes of a chance experiment. Right? Now, when you think of outcomes of a chance experiment, you must think of two important categories. One is events which are mutually exclusive, and the other is the idea of events which are mutually exhaustive. One is the idea of events which are mutually exclusive, and the other is the idea of events which are mutually exhaustive. Okay. What do you mean by mutually exclusive events? Any idea? When you say two events, that is two outcomes of a chance experiment, are mutually. When they cannot occur at the same time. For example, if the outcome is heads, it cannot be tails. Right? So heads and tails are mutually exclusive outcomes. Okay? We say two outcomes are mutually exclusive. If A is an outcome, okay, we say two outcomes are mutually exclusive. A, think of A as an outcome, think of B as an outcome, okay, and if A intersection B is the empty set, yeah, we define the two outcomes to be mutually exclusive. What do you mean by A intersection B? Did we do some set theory in the bridge course? Yeah, so when you say outcomes are mutually exclusive, when you say A intersection B is empty, when they have no common elements. That is, they are outcomes in the sense of a chance experiment, they are outcomes which cannot occur at the same time. Right? For example, if you are rolling the die, suppose A is an outcome that the number on the uppermost face of the die is an odd number. A is the outcome that the number on the uppermost face of the die is an odd number. Then A will in fact be a set, no? Which will contain 1, 3 and 5. Everybody getting this? And suppose B is an outcome that the number on the uppermost face of the die is an even number. Then B will, what will B be? Then B will be, yeah? And you must have learned in the bridge course, then what is the intersection B? The empty set, right? It's not 0, because there is no 0 here, right? Okay, then it will be an empty set. Right, again, empty set. So we say that events are mutually exhaustive if their intersection is an empty set. We say that events are mutually exhaustive if they put together exhaust all the possibilities of the outcomes of the chance experiment. For example, heads and tails. Heads and tails are mutually exclusive, but they are also mutually exhaustive because coins can either land heads or they can land tails. If you are rolling a die, think of 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are mutually exclusive. That is, you can have 1 or 3. But are they mutually exhaustive? No, they are not mutually exhaustive, right? They are not mutually exhaustive, right? Because there are other possibilities. 2, 4, 5, 6 and so on. Right? So the first step that one must understand is the difference between mutually exclusive and mutually exhaustive events. Mutually exclusive and mutually exhaustive events. Is clear? Okay. Now, that's important when you think of a random variable. Right? The importance of a random variable is we have a function. Right? We have a function which says, so basically we have the outcomes x and t. Okay? Right? They are the outcomes of our Poynting experiment. We assign them to a set plus 1 to a set. Okay? Which is plus 1 and minus 1, so HT, right? Now the point is, everybody knows the probability of a head. What is the probability of a head? 0.5. Probability tail 0.5, right? So what would be the probability of getting plus 1? 0.5. What is the probability of getting minus 1? 0.5. Okay, so as long as this probability measured is preserved, right? As long as, what is plus 1? Ultimately plus 1 is the representation of h, a numerical representation of h. What is minus 1? Minus 1 is the numerical representation of t. And therefore the probability with which this random variable takes plus 1 must just be the probability that the random variable, that the experiment outcome is h. Right? Okay? If this property is satisfied, then this function that we are assigning values that we have got is referred to as a random variable. Right? So very roughly, a random variable is nothing but a real valued representation of the outcomes of a chance experiment. What is critical here is a chance experiment. And when I say representation, I am thinking of a function which assigns to each outcome of the chance experiment a unique real number. Right? So that is what considered. So there are three things involved here. One is a chance experiment, outcomes of a chance experiment, and then a function defined from the outcomes of a chance experiment to real numbers. This whole structure is what is called a random variable. Is the idea clear? Absolutely. So when you think of random variables, two things are involved. One is the outcome, a chance experiment, and the outcomes of the chance experiment, and then a function which associates with each outcome of the chance experiment a unique real number. Right? A unique real number. Sure? Is it clear? Okay. Now, this creates a lot of interesting things when, this definition puts a lot of restrictions on how random variables can work. Okay? I just put you through some of those examples. Okay? Now, suppose I am rolling the die. So first think of A and B. Okay? Suppose A and B are mutually exclusive, which means that A and B cannot occur together, right? Okay, so if P of A is the probability of A, yeah, P of B must be the probability that B occurs. Okay, again, when I say P of A, what I am saying is, with each outcome A, I am associating a probability. So I am again defining a function. So again, the probability is a function, which associates with each outcome of a random variable a unique number, which follows certain rules, right? So P of A is the probability of A, P of B is the probability of B, right? Now suppose A and B are mutually exclusive, right? Which means that A and B cannot occur. Which means that A and B cannot occur, right? Then what do you think should be the probability of A intersection B? If A and B cannot occur, then we call them impossible events, right? So what probability would you associate with that outcome? 0. So P of A, B must be 0 if A intersection B is the empty set. Is this clear? Okay. Now, if A and B are mutually exhaustive events, that is, A and B together exhaust all the possibilities that can occur. When A and B occur together, A or B, how do you write this as? A union B. Right? For example, you must have done this. If A is 1, 2, 3 and B is 2, 3, 4, what is A union B? 1, 2, 3, 4. You must have done it, right? So it's A or B, right? So if A and B exhaust the event, so it's either head or tail, right? What will you write this as event as? A union B. And A union B exhausts all the possibilities, so A union B has to occur. It has to be either a head or a tail. So A union B represents the outcome that when you toss a coin, it's either a head or a tail. So what do you think is the probability of that event? 1. Right? So in the current test match going on, either India have to win or West Indies have to win, or it has to be a draw. Right? So think of 3 events, A, B and C. Are they mutually exclusive? Yes, because if India wins, West Indies cannot win and it can't be a draw. If West Indies wins, India cannot win and it can't be a draw. If it's a draw, then India cannot win, West Indies cannot win. So these are mutually exclusive events. So either of the 3 possibilities have to occur. So A union B union C actually has to have a certain event and the probability is 1. Right? On the other hand, can you have A intersection B? Can you have India winning as well as West Indies winning? No. So those are mutually exclusive events, but they are not exhaustive events because there can be a draw. Right? So what is the probability of A intersection B? Is 0. Right? The probability A intersection B is 0. What's the probability of B intersection C? 0. Well, probability of A intersection C? 0. Right? So these are all which, but probability of A union B union C has to be equal to 1. Right? Now, the problem is there could be some events which are not mutually exclusive. Right? Some events which can actually occur jointly. Okay. For example, I could think of, say, event A as she comes to class, event B as he comes to class. Then are those mutually exclusive events? No, both of them can come to class. Right? She comes to class with the outcome of a chance experiment. Yeah? She may or may not come to class. He coming to class is an outcome of a chance experiment. May or may not come to class. He and she both coming to class is also an outcome of a chance experiment. So A is an outcome that she comes to class. B is an outcome that he comes to class. How will I represent the outcome that both of them come to class? A intersection B. How will I represent the outcome that at least one of them comes to class? Either she comes to class or he comes to class. A union B. Okay. For such events, this is a very important problem. The probability that A union B happens is the probability that either A happens or the probability that B happens minus the probability that both of them happen. You see the point? Because if I have to find the probability that either he or she comes to class, then if I take the probability that he comes to class and add to it the probability that she comes to class, then the probability, then I must add, I'll be double counting, no? Because if he comes to class, if she always comes to class, when he comes to class, then obviously I am double counting the probability. So I must subtract that probability that both of them come to class together. Right? So this is a very, very important property. Okay? Fine. Sure? So these are, so from that point of view, let's understand making of random variables. So just we get a better training, right? Okay, so now, suppose I have, my outcome is I am rolling a die. Okay, and the outcome of the die is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's assume that the die is a balanced die. Okay, right. So, let's assume that the die is a balanced die. Now suppose I define a random variable in the form. If the number on the uppermost face of the die is less than 4, less than or equal to 4, you get 5 rupees. If the number on the uppermost face of the die is more than 4, you get 10 rupees. We can have a rule like that, we can play a game like that. Number on the uppermost face of the die is less than or equal to 4 rupees, you will get 5. If it is less than 4, you will get 5 rupees. If the number is greater than 4, you will get 10 rupees. And you roll it. We have a random variable. That random variable is the amount of money you get. You either get 5 rupees or you get 10 rupees. We must now find the probability distribution of this random variable. Right? What are your outcomes here? Your outcomes are x, which can be 5 rupees or 10 rupees. They're real valued outcomes, they're real numbers, right? We must find out what is the probability of rupees 5 and probability of getting 10. What do you think is the probability of getting 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If you get 1, 2, 3 or 4, you get 5. So, if the event A, which is what? 1, 2, 3 or 4 occurs, with A, you associate 5. If the event B, which is 5 or 6 occurs, with that you associate 10. Okay, 5 and 6 occurs, you associate 10. Now, what is the probability of getting A? Why? Let's go back to our definitions. What is A? Let me think of A1 as getting 1. Right? Let me think of A2 as the outcome 2. Let me think of A3 as the outcome 3, and let me think of A4 as the outcome 4. So how can we represent A now? How will we represent A in terms of A1, A2, A3, A4? So it's either A1 or A2 or A3 or A4, right? If any of those 1, 2, 3, 4 occur, I am going to give you 5 rupees. Right? So I can think of A as what? How in terms of A1, A2, A3, A4? How will I think of this? A1 union A2 union A3 union A4. Right? So I will think of my outcome A as A1 union A2 union A4. Okay. Now are A1, A2, A3, A4 all mutually exclusive outcomes? So they cannot occur together. Now we have seen that if they are mutually exclusive outcomes, it must be the case that probability of A is probability of A1 plus probability of A2 plus probability of A3 plus probability of A4. Yeah? Sure, why? Because the two outcomes are mutually exclusive, probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B. If they are not mutually exclusive, then you subtract the probability of A intersection B. But because they are mutually exclusive, there is no question of subtracting the probability of the A intersection B. So you have this, right? Now, what is probability of A1? 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 6. How much is that? 4 by 6. Yeah, which is 4 by 6, which is 2 by 2. So probability of A is 2 by 3, right? If I write this as 2 by 3. So what is the probability of 10? Give me a logic. Why would the probability of 10 be 1 by 3? I'm especially doing this for those who have not got a probability before. So we're trying to build up some logical rules. A and B are mutually exhaustive. So either A occurs or B occurs. Right? So probability of A union B must be equal to 1. Right? So probability of 5 or 10 must be equal to 1. Now again, think of what is probability of A union B? 5 and 10 are mutually exclusive events. If this is A, this is B, they are all mutually exclusive. Right? Then this must mean therefore probability of A plus probability of B is equal to 1. So what is the probability of B? 1 minus the probability of A. Right? So this must be 1/3. Sure? Right? So you learned how to work through this. So how to find? What have I done? So how will these numbers come about? I have an outcome of a chance experiment, a certain rule which says how the chance experiments will be associated with real numbers, and then I have a rule of finding out what are the probabilities associated with various values of those real numbers based on certain rules of probability which apply to outcomes of chance experiments. Sure? So I have got now 3 things involved. I have got a chance experiment, I have got a random variable which says this is the real number to be assigned to each value of the random variable, and then a probability function which tells you how to assign a particular probability to a particular value of the random variable depending upon certain rules of probability. So there are 3 things involved now. Right? It's A, the outcome of the chance experiment is one part. Secondly, real value representation of the chance outcomes by real numbers is another part. And assigning certain rules for assigning probabilities to those real numbers is the third one. So 3 distinct entities are involved here in my definition of a random variable. Right? So a random variable essentially involves all 3. Right? A random variable essentially involves all these 3 ideas. Is this absolutely clear to you? Yeah, so chance experiments and their outcomes, real numbers representing those chance experiments, and some rules which tell you how to find probabilities with which the various real numbers take their values. This entire structure together is what a random variable is. Yeah? Check this out. I'll give you another example. Okay? Right? Let me just check out how well you understand this. So suppose I am tossing 3 coins. Okay? Suppose I am tossing 3 coins. Yeah? And the rule says the amount of money which you will get will be equal to twice the number of heads on any toss. Remember, I am tossing 3 coins. What am I doing? 3 coins. If I toss 3 coins, the rule that you are going to get in this game is the amount of money you get is twice the number of heads in each particular toss. If there are 2 heads and a tail, you will get 4 rupees. If there is 1 head and 2 tails, you will get 2 rupees. If there is no head, you will get 0. Right? So what's your random variable? The amount of money which you get. What I want you to do is to tell me what are the various probability, what are the various values that this random variable will take, and what are the various probabilities with which it will take these values. Yeah? So come, start telling me. Let's build it here. I'm not going to speak. You have to stand, you have to sit from there and tell me how to go about this. I'm up next. So first we have to write what a chance experiment is, right? So what is the possible outcome? I can all heads is one possible. How many outcomes will I have? 8. Because the first outcome can happen in two ways, the second outcome can happen in two ways, the third outcome can happen in two ways. So collectively, the collective number of outcomes will be 2 into 2 into 2, it's 2 into 2 is 4, and into 2 is 8. All of us are on the same page with that, no? Yeah. So HHH is one out. Then HHT could be another out. Right? HTH could be a third out. HHH will be the fourth out. Right? TTT could be another. Right? TTH. THT. HT. Right? Now we have to assign, so that these are not random variables, they are outcomes of chance experiments. They are not real value. So therefore, we have to now think of a random variable which tells you how much money I have given. In this case, how much money I give you? 6. Right? In this case, how much money I give you? 4. In this case, how much money I give you? 4. It was 2 heads twice, right? In this case, how much money I give you? In this case, how much money I give you? In this case, how much money I give you? 2. In this case, 2. In this case, 2. So what are the various values that my random variable takes? It takes 0, 2, 6. Yeah? And the probabilities which it takes various values. What is the probability which takes 0? 1 by 8, because all these are equally likely outcomes. Right? If they are equally likely, and if the probability of the whole sum is 1, then you have to divide those probabilities into 8. Right? So this is 1 by 1. What is the probability that I will get 2? 3 by 8. Why did you say 3 by 8? Laws of probabilities. Why did you say 3 by 8? Because there are 3